I don't want to hear about the affordability.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm John Adams with the Satirical News Dolls, the only news show where we don't sugarcoat the truth because sugar costs way too damn much now. All right, so that was the President of the United States telling the entire country, quote, "I don't want to hear about the affordability." He really said it like people are inconveniencing him by being poor. Like we're over here complaining about rising grocery prices just to ruin his day. Sir, people are splitting one rotisserie chicken 5 ways like it's the Last Supper. Families are seasoning hope. That's right. Hope is the seasoning now. And unfortunately, that costs way too damn much now too. We are not asking for much, just the ability to buy food without needing a cosigner, or being able to fill up the gas tank without hearing the car whisper, "You sure about this?" Or paying a rent that doesn't require a blood sacrifice and 2 roommates named Brandon. Yes, both my roommates were named Brandon. Go figure. I just can't believe Trump hit us with, "I don't want to hear about the affordability." That's not a leader. That's the dude at Planet Fitness who keeps whispering, "No judgment zone," while definitely judging. Or an HR representative who starts every sentence with, "I hear you, but," or the dude in your group project who emailed, "Just checking in," while doing absolutely nothing for the group. People are choosing between rent and toothpaste. People are watering down orange juice like it's a survival sport. I watched a grown adult scan grapes one at a time to avoid going over budget.
Thank you, Mr. President. A federal judge said tonight that the administration has to fully fund SNAP. It's the latest in the back and forth, and the Justice Department said they're going to appeal it. What's your message to folks as they work this out in the courts and in Congress as we're heading into Thanksgiving?
I think our country has to remain very liquid because problems, catastrophes, wars, could be anything. We have to remain liquid. We can't give everything away based on a number. Here's an example. When I was president, the number that you're talking about was a tiny fraction of what it is now. Biden went totally crazy, gave it to anybody that would ask, gave it to people that were able-bodied, had no problem. Anybody that would ask, we get the number. And it's many times the number of people are on. This wasn't meant for that. It was meant for people that had real problems, in many cases, people that were down and out, people that could be saved. It wasn't meant for people that could do whatever they want, the people that say, well, I don't think I'll work, I'll just, collect this money. Take a look at the number of what it was during my administration and what it was during the Biden administration. It went up many, many times my first term. One other thing, a number came out today that was amazing. Walmart. I trust Walmart, Arkansas, great place, Arkansas, great company, Walmart. They announced today, after many years, they do this every year for many years, that Thanksgiving for the United States of America under Donald Trump as president is 25% less for Thanksgiving meal with all the trimmings than it was under Sleepy Joe Biden's administration. So we talk about affordability. I think that's the best chart. That's better than a poll. That's better than anything I can think of. So Walmart, which everybody trusts, and I trust, and everybody trusts Walmart, they're not looking to do anything except give the numbers. And they have for many years. They talk about the cost of Thanksgiving and the cost of living through Thanksgiving and enjoying Thanksgiving. For Joe Biden, it was 25% more than it is for me. At a later time, our energy costs are way down. Our groceries are way down. Everything is way down. And the press doesn't report it. The press reports whatever the con people say. I call the Democrats con men and women. They make up numbers. But when you look at 25% reduction in costs for Thanksgiving between Biden and me, meaning this administration, that's a tremendous number. It's the biggest reduction in cost in the history of that chart or whatever it is they do. They do a synopsis of everything. They cover every element of Thanksgiving meals. 25% down. So I don't want to hear about the affordability because right now we're much less. If you look at energy, we're getting close to $2 a gallon gasoline. With Biden, it was $4.50, $5. Another thing, inflation. We had the worst inflation in the history of our country. Now we have virtually no inflation at all. It's down at a very low number and a very normal number. So the affordability is much better with the Republicans. The only problem is the Republicans don't talk about it. And Republicans should start talking about it and use their heads, because we have great numbers. We have and they're going to only get better when all these jobs open up, all these factories open up that are being built all over our country. We are building auto plants. We're building AI plants. We're leading in AI over China and everybody else. When all of these plants start opening, we're going to have a revolution, a positive revolution, economic revolution like never before. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, President.
He thinks Walmart Thanksgiving is 25% cheaper? Yeah, it's cheaper because they removed half the meal. Do the math. That's not affordability. That's portion control sponsored by despair. You don't get to brag about Thanksgiving being cheaper when the menu is now turkey flavor vapor, a suggestion of stuffing, and 1 cranberry for the table to share. The message was clear. Your suffering is loud. Please suffer quietly. No, Mr. President. We will not. We will talk about affordability. We will talk about prices. We will talk about survival. Because if the president doesn't want to hear about it, that means he already knows it's bad. He just doesn't care.
Where President Trump continues to talk about the issue of affordability and its role in last Tuesday's elections. He hit on the topic multiple times yesterday during an Oval Office event on lowering costs for weight loss drugs. He also said several times this week that Walmart's Thanksgiving meal will be cheaper than it was last year.
So Walmart, to me, that's AAA, came out that nobody going to influence them. I don't know them. But they just came out with a very powerful statement. They've done it for many years, that under the Biden administration, a Thanksgiving meal with all the trimmings cost 25% more. In other words, our Thanksgiving this year coming up will cost 25% less than sleepy Joe Biden's. Now, to me, that's better than anything there is. I was angry last night with the Republicans. They say, you don't talk about this stuff. Nobody talks about it. I rely on a question from a reporter to get that out. We should be talking about it because they talk about affordability. They don't have affordability. What the Democrats do is they lie. We are the ones that have done great on affordability. They've done horribly on affordability. The only thing is they go out and they take commercials how under the Democrats you have affordability. It's just the opposite. We have much lower prices than they do. And we only have one thing, beef, because the cattle ranches are doing well. We're going to bring the beef prices down, and they understand that, even if we have to help them out. But the beef also is not a big difference, but every price is down. The biggest price is energy. We're at almost $2 for gasoline.
Okay, maybe I'm an armchair psychologist, but the president didn't sound particularly happy there, sounding a little frustrated with things. And it's worth a quick fact check on that Walmart promotion. As ABC News points out, this year's bundle of Thanksgiving meal from Walmart has fewer items, 15 compared to 21, and a higher percentage of store brand items, which cost less. So, overall bundle costing less, but there's less in it too. On the topic of groceries, prices in September were about 2.7% higher than they were last year and about 1.4% higher than they were in January when Mr. Trump took office. That's all according to the most recent Consumer Price Index figures. Meanwhile, the national average for a gallon of gas is $3.08, according to AAA. That's only 2 cents lower than this time last year. John, it's so interesting to hear President Trump have to deal with exactly what Joe Biden had to deal with, trying to tell the American public that the economy is doing well when the American public is feeling that the economy is doing badly and that prices are high. I mean, it just sounds like exactly. Maybe he should give him a call and get some tips, because it sounds like the two men are having to deal with the same issue.
The odds of that phone call slim, Caddy. I think that, but there's no question. It's a similar tone for President Trump. It's just not what Americans are feeling right now, and to sort of exist almost in a denial, Sam Stein, about how affordability was the central issue on Tuesday. I'm going to read from to you a post from our colleague Chris Hayes on X the everything site. He says Trump saying, I don't want to hear about affordability is, in Chris's estimation, a real gift. Chris writes, usually he, meaning Trump, exists outside the realm and logic of gaffes. But that one's going to get a lot of play. And I think he's right, that the idea that Trump is being dismissive. Affordability, no, we've already solved that. That's simply not what Americans think.
Yeah, and there's this idea in politics that you just don't want to feel or present yourself as out of touch with voters, right? The whole "I feel your pain" idea that Bill Clinton popularized. This is the exact opposite of it. It's you don't have pain. I solved your pain, and I don't really think that translates. I mean, who knows what I know, right? But for a lot of Americans, obviously, I mean, look at any polls. It's not just that they feel like their situation is bad economically. It's that they feel like Donald Trump has worsened their situation. And they look at the tariffs and they say, well, that's not really help matters. They look at the cost of groceries. They say, what's going on? They look at the cost of gas. They say, it's not down that much. And here he is saying he's reduced everything. So it's deeply out of touch. And then I'll go back I can't get over it because it's so absurd. But to do all this while your family is profiting from a cryptocurrency, while you have wealthy donors giving to your gilded ballroom, and while your ex-best pal Elon Musk gets $1 trillion, just like $1 trillion pay package, the juxtaposition is just insane. And I don't know why he doesn't see it. Usually his instincts are a little bit better than this, but he doesn't see it.
No, Trump always exists in a sort of denial. But actually, someone made this point to me that I will repeat here, that every president, of course, lives in a bit of a bubble. That's how it works. But this one, Trump in particular, this time around, Trump 2.0, so insular. He doesn't travel the country anymore. He doesn't hold rallies. He very rarely holds events outside of Washington. He does some foreign travel, to be sure, but very little domestic. He wasn't on the campaign trail at all. He's not talking to local officials. He's not talking to Republicans. I mean, he never was one for the rope line, but he's not hearing from voters. And even social media, when he was on Twitter, he'd at least, I'm told, would see things from other people, and sometimes it would make him mad, but he'd be exposed to other points of view. Now that he's only on Truth Social, which is just his acolytes, he's not getting that either. He is remarkably locked in his own little world right now, and remarkably out of touch.
This man is living so out of touch with reality that you'd need NASA clearance and a SpaceX launch window just to wave at him. He is so out of touch, you'd need a telescope, star charts, and a guided tour from Neil deGrasse Tyson just to locate his point of view. He's operating so out of orbit that you'd need to file a flight plan with the FAA just to disagree with him. Oh wait, he's not out of touch, he's just on airplane mode. Got it. Trump is basically campaigning from inside the snow globe of Mar-a-Lago, while it's being gently shaken by donors who are whispering, "Say it's cheaper. Say it's cheaper." He goes on TV to tell Americans that Thanksgiving is more affordable than ever, based on a Walmart meal bundle that now includes fewer items and store-brand everything. This is not lowering costs. This is Thanksgiving co-op mode only, because not a single American can afford groceries solo now. And he's bragging about gas being almost $2, like he discovered a secret portal at the Narnia Shell station. Sir, show us the coordinates, drop the map, share the QR code, let the people make the pilgrimage. I'm currently seeing gas at $6.20. Then he says Democrats don't understand affordability. Meanwhile, Americans are out here making dinner out of a single tortilla.
So I don't want to hear about the affordability because right now we're much less.
Okay, so I'm for real here, Steve. And I know we touched on it before. I don't want to hear about affordability. That's the whole ball game. The truth is, whether you're the most economically vulnerable person in America or honestly the richest person in America, what do they vote on? What do we all vote on? Our pocketbook.
Yeah, sure.
And if it was economic despair that really helped Trump, what is your take on the current position? Because he might not need to run again. But the rest of his party does.
This has been a take across the economic officials in the Trump administration, just basically denying the data. It kind of reminds me of when he wanted to stop COVID testing, and then COVID would go away. There's sort of like this thing. There's no inflation. You got the guy that he put on the Federal Reserve Board saying there's no inflation from tariffs. They're just saying there's no inflation, when in fact there's inflation. In fact, the inflation we can link directly back to the tariffs. And there were several members of the Federal Reserve that are actually concerned that it's spreading beyond that, and it's more than just a tariff story. But I just want to get back to one thing from the last segment, because pop the bubble a little bit. I just don't want Democrats to think they won a contest that maybe the other side wasn't quite playing. And
explain.
The Democrats were fighting to make a national statement, and they understood that if they won Virginia, they won New Jersey, that would show something, okay? It's a little bit like it's 21-0 before the half, and the team that has no points wants to score 7 points before they go into the locker room, okay? We don't, you know.
That is a great analogy.
So it's when the Republicans begin to fight nationally for the midterms, it'll be a different fight. There are clear issues out there, affordability, all these things make sense. One more point I want to make about Mamdani, which is I believe he will discover New York City is liberal because it's rich. It can afford to be liberal.
I would argue New York City is not liberal.
Hold on. Let's Steve finish his point.
In other words, in the sense of the kinds of benefits it provides to people in some of the programs, compared to, for example, Mississippi, it's liberal, right? Okay, and it's the way because it can afford to be. That's the cities in America are the great generators of economic activity. I wish the GOP understood that instead of doing what they do with the cities. These are the places that are creating. We are liberal because we can afford to be liberal. I don't believe we're rich because we're liberal.